A ver, okay. Let's try this again. Okay, a ver. Okay, I'm sorry, I pulled everybody out. We had big problems with Zoom. I don't know at all exactly what happened, and some of them may just be your computer, Noreen, I don't know, or how it's connecting to Zoom. So we're gonna have to try to, I'm gonna have to try to be creative. Here we go. I'm gonna try to be creative. How far did you guys get? Did you finish the whole thing?
No.
We had 4 left.
You have 4 left, okay.
Cuatro.
Okay, wow, okay. Okay. I'm gonna bounce back and forth. I'm sorry, but we got so many issues going on, and some of them are computer related, some of them might be Zoom related. I don't know what they are. So we're going to try to take a look at this and just check out what the answers are. And I'm going to be shifting back and forth, okay, which is not ideal. I'm going to start off with with numero 5, with the 5th one, okay? Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Checking off at the 5th one. Okay, so if I'm looking at the 5th one, that means I'm looking on the B side. I'm looking on the B side, exactly halfway down. If I've got viajar and I need a tu form, it goes into the verb viajas, right? And viajas means you travel or you are traveling. Okay, bien. I'm going to shift off to the A side. I'm going to look one down. I've got llegar with yo. ¿Cómo se dice the yo form? La forma yo.
Llego.
Llego. And llego means
I arrive.
I arrive, I am arriving. Okay, we're going to look right below the llego on the B side. B side. I've got a new prompt. Escuchar with mi amiga. So the way we're going to conjugate that is mi amiga
Escucha.
escucha, and that means
My friend listens.
she's listening, right? She's listening or she listens. Okay, I'm going to look over at the A side. I've got ayudar. I need to change it into a form for nosotros, meaning we do that action of helping. Okay, nosotros
Ayudamos.
ayudamos. Ayudamos, and that means we help or we are helping. Okay, I'm going to seg over to the B side. I'm going to look below ayudamos. I've got esperar with los turistas. I need to make it into a form for los turistas. It becomes
Esperan.
esperan. And we're going to punch the per. Esperan. Esperan. And it means they are waiting. Los turistas esperan. Los turistas esperan. The tourists are waiting. Okay, we're going to look below esperan. We've got caminar. We're going to conjugate it to use it for usted. And it becomes usted
Camina.
camina. Usted camina, you walk or you are walking. Bien? Okay, we're going to look below. Usted camina, we're looking at trabajar. Trabajar, we're going to use it for ustedes. Ustedes
Trabajan.
trabajan. Ustedes trabajan. And it means you guys work or you guys are working. Bien? And y por fin, estudiar, estudiar. And you want to tell somebody, I study, I'm studying. Yo estudio. I am studying or I do study. And I am sorry that Zoom kind of failed us there, but okay. Entienden, you've got the general idea. Bien? See? A ver? Okay, let's do a share because I know that won't fail me. Okay. And you might have printed this off or might not. And if you didn't, no worries. We're going to take a look at it here on a share screen. I put it in bigger letters. Pueden ver, can you guys see?
Yeah.
Pueden ver, can you see? Okay, vale, magnífico. Okay, let's see how much of this we can decipher. You know, these are things that would be kind of not too far-fetched chunks of ideas you might want to say to somebody if you were a traveler. I'm not buying anything. We need to use that word comprar.
Yo no compro.
No compro.
Right. No compro. You can say the yo, you can drop the yo, but we do need to have that word no. To make any expression negative, just put the no in front of the verb. No compro nada.
Oh, no compro.
No compro nada. So here's how you can
Nada.
say it.
Okay.
No compro nada. Here is
Nada.
the bare bones, what you absolutely have to have. No compro nada.
No compro
No
nada.
compro nada. The no
No
in front of the verb. No compro nada. Now, you want to get really emphatic? Yo no compro nada. You can insert the yo to make it super emphatic, but you don't have to have the word yo. Okay? Bien. Vale. La segunda idea, the second idea. We're not going to translate the idea of can at all in this sense. You might be able to, but we're going to drop it here.
Ayuda algo.
Con algo.
Ayudas algo.
Yeah, so let's put in our polite you as usted. Usted ayuda con algo. Okay, now I'm going to be honest with you. In a real setting, it would be something. It would be more like this for a real question. I'm going to shift things around. In a question, the verb pushes itself further forward in a question. ¿Me ayuda usted? ¿Me ayuda usted con algo? And the me means I'm receiving the help. ¿Me ayuda usted con algo? That me word just means I'm receiving whatever action the verb is doing. That's all it means. ¿Me ayuda usted con algo? ¿Me ayuda usted con algo? You could look up the word can, which is irregular, which goes into a different kind of shifty form, or you can make it really, really easy as a survival thing and just say, me ayuda usted con algo. All right. You can even, in a pinch, just with your voice, like changing the pitch of the voice, say,
Ayuda.
yeah, well, you can, sí. Usted me ayuda con algo. Usted me ayuda con algo. That sounds like a question, yeah. Usted me ayuda con algo. That sounds like a question. You might hear it in either word order, just so you know. Okay. Questions can be in the same word order as a regular sentence statement of fact. Questions often shift the verb up ahead. So, para que sepan, just so you know. Okay, we're listening to music.
Escuchemos.
Escuchamos.
And we're going to put the
Música.
sound.
Escuchamos.
Escuchamos música. Escuchamos música. That's it. Wait a minute. What happened to the listening to? What happened to that dragging word to? Bye-bye. We don't need it.
Oh,
Yeah, not in that situation. It's all built into that verb escuchamos. Escuchamos música. Escuchamos música. Yeah? Okay. Oh, we need to get to the airport. We have to conjugate the need part.
necesitamos.
Necesitamos, and now we're gonna leave. Oh, yeah.
Llegar.
We're gonna leave llegar as is. Necesitamos llegar
An aeropuerto.
al aeropuerto. Al aeropuerto. Now we do need the word to. And we need to the. And to the is al. Ooh, I'm trying to highlight this so that I can. Ooh, and it won't let me highlight yet. Okay. Al. Al is a combination of a and el next to each other. Al. They become one word. Al. Necesitamos llegar. We need to get. And the to get stays as to get. Necesitamos llegar al aeropuerto. Bien? That one's a little harder, but often we have a combination like that when you're traveling. You know, we need to do something. Necesitamos comprar. Necesitamos comprar pasta de dientes. We need to buy, you know, toothpaste, something like that. Okay, who works here? We need the word who.
In.
¿Quién? ¿Quién?
Trabaja aquí.
Ah, ¿quién trabaja
Aquí.
aquí? ¿Quién trabaja aquí? Here's a little problem. How do I know that that becomes trabaja? ¿Quién is referring to one person? Vaguely. I don't know who the who is. Yeah, that's the whole point. But ¿quién always takes the same verb as él or ella or usted, because ¿quién refers to one person? ¿Quién trabaja aquí? ¿Quién trabaja aquí? ¿Quién trabaja aquí? Who works here? Okay. Where do I pay? We need the where word.
Donde.
Donde pago.
¿Dónde?
Donde pago.
¿Dónde pago? ¿Dónde pago? ¿Dónde pago? Where do I pay? ¿Dónde pago? ¿Dónde pago? Fácil, ¿no? Easy, right? Ah, do you speak?
Hablas así.
Hablas inglés.
¿Habla usted
Oh,
Hablas inglés.
inglés? ¿Habla usted inglés? If you're talking to a little kid, it might be hablas inglés, but probably only if you're talking to a kid, right? If you're approaching somebody on the street. Habla usted inglés, but to a little kid, it could be hablas inglés. Habla usted inglés. To a group of people, you walk up to two people, it won't be habla usted, it'll be
hablan ustedes.
hablan ustedes. Inglés, exacto. Okay. A ver, bien. Okay, they're traveling with us. Información, you're giving information about, so that's it. They're traveling with,
Viajan.
Ustedes viajan.
well, it won't be ustedes. It's a plural group, but it's not
Ellos.
ellos. There you go. Ellos
Viajan
viajan
Viajan.
con nos.
con, and here it'll be nosotros.
Con nosotros.
Con nosotros. If you said con nos, they'd probably get the idea. It would sound weird, but they would know what you meant. Con nosotros. Ellos viajan con nosotros. Ellos viajan con nosotros. Okay?
And
Vale.
with EOS, you need to put the EOS there. You don't drop that.
If it's understood from context and you were just motioning, you could just say viajan con nosotros.
Okay.
You know, if you were motioning to the people next to you, viajando con nosotros, they would know exactly who you meant. Yeah, they would understand. And
Okay.
you could drop the ellos. When you want to be specific, you might need to put in an ellos. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. When are you arriving?
Cuando tú llegas.
Cuando?
Llegan.
Cuando? Oh, and it depends on which you. How about for somebody? Yeah, how about for you guys? Cuando
Ellos.
Llegan.
llegan ustedes?
Ah,
It might be that. To one person, it'll be
Cuando
llega usted. To somebody you're on a first name basis with.
Cuando llegas.
Cuando
Llegas.
llegas. Depende. Depends on who the you is. Cuando llegas. Cuando llegas. If you've got a bus driver and he's been driving you all week in a group, same guy every day, you might be comfortable enough. Cuando llegas. When do you get here? Right? For pickup. Cuando llegas. But cuando llega usted, cuando llegan ustedes. Okay? And how many minutes? Ooh, how many minutes? Oh, that one's kind of tough.
¿Cuántos?
¿Cuántos
¿Cuánto?
minutos?
¿Cuántos
Minutos.
minutos? Bien.
Nosotros esperamos aquí.
¿Cuántos
Esperamos.
minutos esperamos aquí?
Vamos.
¿Cuántos minutos esperamos aquí? ¿Cuántos minutos? How many minutes? ¿Cuántos minutos esperamos aquí? So I want you to notice something. When we inject a question word, like who, what, when, where, why, that word will almost always lead off the question, right? Just like it does in English. When, where, yeah. But quite often the verb is going to follow very, very soon after that, right? ¿Cuántos minutos esperamos aquí? Okay, preguntas, questions that you've got about this? And I know we're kind of like, you know, diving in. And you've just got a little swimmy with you. you got the little, yeah, the little wing things on. Yeah, but that's okay. It's kind of what you have to do. Okay. Lo que tienes que hacer. Okay, preguntas, questions on that so far? Sí o no?
No.
Nada?
Did you give us that page?
Yes.
Sí,
Okay,
Yes.
I did. I can send you an extra copy of it.
I probably got it. I'll look.
Okay, vale? Good? Bien. Let's, because we kind of have to dip our toe into this, ER and IR verbs. And we spent more time on AR verbs, but I do want to give some cursory recognition of ER and IR verbs, which kind of isn't fair, but it's what we've got time for. So we're going to take a look at ER and IR verbs. So the thing to remember is that if you understand that pattern, that most is always a we, you know, you substitute in a different vowel in front of the most, right? Yeah. If you know that two verbs end in S, it's going to be a different vowel coming in. If you know that a they group ends in a n sound, an N sound, the different vowel segs in. Okay, we're going to take a look at ER and IR verbs. ER and IR verbs are smaller categories by quite a lot, but you know, ER verbs, but there are a lot of them. There are a lot. And IR verbs, there are a lot, not as many as the other two, but they're out there. Okay. So the thing to remember is that ER and IR verbs, really in all the tenses, but in present now for what you're working with, they're going to do similar patterns. ER and IR verbs share, for your intents and purposes, ER and IR are going to share the same endings except for nosotros. And then nosotros, they do their own thing. And they do their own thing means they go back to the vowel of the ER or the vowel of the IR. Nosotros goes back to that. But everything else, they're going to follow the sound for the ER verbs, that e sound with the ending. Okay. So we need to know some forms. So we're just going to check out some forms here. Aquí, comer, to eat. So yo form is going to be como, tú comes, él come, nosotros comemos, ellos comen. Bien. Let's take a look at leer. Leer, to read. Leer, to read. Now, some people get thrown with this, but don't. We drop the ER, we still have that E hanging off the end.
Leo.
At le. So we're left with le. And that le has to stay where it is, no matter what we tag on to the end. Yo
Leo.
leo, tú
Leas.
les. And we just drag out the E because we do have two E's. Les.
Les.
La chica, the girl, la chica,
Le.
lee. We just
Lee.
drag out the E
Lee.
sound, lee. Nosotros
Leímos.
leemos, bien.
Leemos.
Ellos.
Ellos, they
Leen.
leen,
Leen.
okay?
Leen.
Bien. Now we got comprender, to understand. And to tell you the truth, there are two verbs that mean to understand. Here is another one. Entender also means the same thing as comprender. And I'll be honest with you, I feel this is much more common, but it's got an oddball thing that happens in the middle where the vowel splits into two sounds. And that right now, you're not going to remember. So we're going to take comprender because they will, even though the other verb is more common, they'll know what this verb means, obviously. Comprender, and we've got an English verb, comprender, comprehend, okay? So, comprender, we yank off the ear, comprender, yo
Comprendo.
comprendo, tú
Comprendes.
comprendes, él or ella or usted.
Comprende.
Comprende.
Comprende. Nosotros
Comprendemos.
comprendemos, okay? And ellos, they
Comprenden.
comprenden. Magnifico. Vender. Think of a vending machine. It sells you something, right? Or a vendor at a fair. Vender. Yo vendo.
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 Vendes.
Vendes.
Él o ella o usted
Vende.
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 Nosotros
Vendemos.
vendemos. Ellos, they
Venden.
venden. Okay. Responder, to
Respond to answer.
respond. I'm
Yes.
trying as much as possible to grab cognates. Cognates are words that look like an English word. Okay, that helps you get used to the pattern. Okay, yo
Respondo.
respondo. Tú
Respondes.
respondes. Él o ella
Responde.
responde. Nosotros
Respondemos.
respondemos. Ellos, they
Responde.
Responden.
responden. Okay. Beber. I'll be honest with you. Beber in my mind is used a lot with alcohol. Yeah, okay.
Mucho,
And
mucho
tomar,
bien.
tomar a lot with water.
Ah.
But you know, if you said bebemos agua, we drink water, they would understand. But beber is very frequently used with alcohol. You know, whatever generic kind of libation you enjoy. You know, frequently if somebody asks, you know, like off a wine list, and somebody says no bebo, that they're telling you they don't drink alcohol. You know, the inference is I don't drink alcohol. I drink other things. And oh, sí, claro, of course. Okay. Yo bebo.
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 But notice it's not vivo, it's bebo. You have to say
Bebo.
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 Tú
Bebes. Bebes.
bebes, okay. Él o ella o usted
Bebe.
bebe. Nosotros
Bebemos.
bebemos and ellos
Beben.
beben. ¿Bien?
Beben.
Okay, beben. Okay, vivir, to live, vivir. Now, this last here is IRs. They're generally a smaller category. There tend to be more oddball, irregular things. So I have fewer things I can practice with you that will be easy to use. So we're picking these three just for the sake of saying they're easy verbs. A ver, okay. Bien, vivir, to live. Yo
Vivo.
vivo,
Vivo.
tú
Vives.
vives. Now it's going to copy ER, except when we do nosotros. So tú vives. The misconception is that sometimes people want to, I'm going to see if it, yeah, it'll let me go. People want to do this and no. IR verb, it's going to do IS. No. Vives. It's going to copy ER verbs, except for nosotros, okay? So think of nosotros as the oddball of the IR group. All right, tú vives, él, he, or ella, or she, or usted
Vive.
Vive.
vive,
Vive.
okay?
Vivimos.
Vivimos.
Vivimos. Now we do go to that
Vivimos.
imos sound. Imos. Vivimos. Okay. Ellos, they
Viven.
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 Okay.
Viven.
Entonces, somebody walks up to you. ¿Dónde vive usted? ¿Dónde vive usted?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Vivo en,
Vivo.
yeah.
Vivo
Vivo en
en-
Arizona, vivo en Estados Unidos, vivo en Scottsdale,
Grande
you know,
en
depende,
Casa
depends on
Grande.
how specific you want to get. ¿Sí? ¿Dónde vive usted? ¿Dónde viven ustedes? Where do you guys live? Vivimos en Estados Unidos. Bien?
Mhm.
So there's a typical question. Okay. Abrir. Abrir, to open. Think of abracadabra. Abrir means to open. It's an IR verb. They'll use abrir for opening a book. They'll use abrir for opening a store, for opening a museum, for opening the post office. Okay? Any building that opens, abrir. You'll see on signs, horarios, schedules, and you'll see se abre, meaning we open at this time. You'll see se abre and it'll have like times. And that means we're open at these times. Okay, so this is a sign you see frequently, or excuse me, this is a verb you see frequently on signs for opening times of a store or, you know, an institution of some kind that gives you a service, tourist attractions. Bien, abrir. Okay, okay, I open like the door. Abro, right? Abro, abro. Tú
Abres.
abres.
Abre.
So
Abres.
here comes the next one that you're going to hear a lot because this is used to talk about
Abre.
stores. It opens. It opens.
Abre.
Abre. Abre is used for one thing to talk about a store, one thing to talk about a museum, one thing to talk about an office, right? La oficina abre. El correo, post office, abre. El museo, abre. Because you're talking about one thing, even though it's not an el and ella and usted, it's one thing. So abre, it opens, okay? We're opening a door would be abrimos, right? They open,
Abren.
abren, abren. Bien? Okay, let's
Abren.
work escribir. Let's work escribir. Wow, we're hitting right up to the clock. Escribir. I write, yo
Escribo.
escribo. Tú,
Escribo.
you, right?
Escribes.
Escribes.
Escribes. He, él, ella
Escribe. Escribe.
escribe. Nosotros
Escribimos.
escribimos, ¿ok? ¿Vale? Y ellos
Escriben.
escriben, or ustedes, you guys, escriben.
Escriben.
Bien? Okay. Vale, bien. That gives you the basics. I will send you this. It will give you like a self-check, like you did with the AR verbs,
Mhm.
which you can print off and check yourself for knowing what the verb means and how we change it. Okay. I probably have a couple thrown in there. Aprender. There might be some that weren't quite in the book. So Google any verbs you did not know. So I'll make sure I send that off to you. A ver, I'm also going to check. I will be sending you a few links. They'll be to things like, here are the 40 most common verbs in the language, or the 50 most common verbs in the language, you know, things to kind of help you build up that vocabulary a little bit, and it'll just give you the infinitives. Then I'll send you the IR practice that I just showed you.
Mhm.
I will send you, it's going to look like this, a set of charts that shows you some examples of ER verbs because we have the least amount of time to work with those, and it'll just work a bunch of examples with you. So it'll be a, you know, like a Google slide set or a PDF set. No big deal. And I'm going to try to find, oh, it won't be that one. And I'm going to try to find like an easy self-quiz thing where you can go online and see if you get the verbs right, and it'll give you an immediate answer. Bien?
Yeah.
Vale? Oui, qué placer. What a pleasure. Son las 11, it's 11. And time flies when you're having fun. You know, this is obviously a vast subject, and it's obviously something that needs a lot of practice. If you have signed up for the next group, you are likely in that. It says beginners step 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have people in various levels and steps, and that's a-okay. We do a lot of practice. We take a lot of general ideas of, you know, how do you say this, and a lot of little role playing, and with Zoom. So John and Noreen, if you plan on joining, see if we're going to have to see if we can figure out how to get your sound going with Zoom in those little rooms, because we do use that quite a lot with that group. And so
Could we ask a quick question regarding the second lot? Are you going to use the same book?
No, I do not use the same book. Now I'm going to show you what I use. Qué buena pregunta. Gracias, Danita. Thank you. I'm going to leave it as optional whether you feel you want to buy it or not, because what we wind up, but it is a reference. The book for this I use, and I'll send you the link for what it is. This book is something I use purely as a reference. What we wind up doing is I do not go lockstep through every single chapter, but if we're working on, let's say, negative expressions, like let's say we're taking a day to talk about I never do this, or no one does this, and then we're just working negative words, I'll tell you where in the book they talk about that. And I guarantee you, if you come into the group and I let people know, well, we're practicing this idea in the coming week. If you have a question, I guarantee you somebody else, even though they've seen it before, they're not 100% comfortable with it yet either. So, you know, they'll have their stumbling block points with the same thing, even if you feel like it's brand new for you. It won't be perfect for them either. And that's the way it rolls. And I may segment people off to like smaller beginner groups when we work there, depending on what we're doing that day. Okay, vale?
Fantástico.
Muchas gracias.
Ustedes son magníficos. You guys are really great. It was a real fun group to work with. Muchísimas gracias. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to work with all of you too. So, and all.
Is that next Monday?
No.
Is it next Monday?
No.
On the 5th. On the 5th.
Next week is a makeup week. People who like missed teaching a class take that extra week that's off for the rest of us to do makeup, a makeup session. So we have nothing at all next week. It is April 5th, I want to say.
Yes.
El 5 de abril, el 5 de abril.
El 5 de abril.
El 5 de abril, not 5 de mayo, 5 de abril.
With no tequila.
I will likely have a little book assigned, but we're gonna I'm kind of deciding this next week, and it'll be like a teeny tiny itty bitty book, like, you know, we're talking that thin, but I'll probably assign one book to one group that's more experienced and one to the other. I'm still deciding exactly how I'm going to divvy that up. I I think I know how I'm going to divvy that up. So there will be an obligatory little easy to read book. Yeah, and the purpose of the book, the book, you're going to read the book and you're going to think, this is so repetitive. Oh my God. I mean, I'll be honest with you, for me, it is painful. It is so repetitive, but it is repetitive to, but no, if you're a beginner, I mean, if I were reading in German or French, oh my God, I would need that. I would need that. So it's going to be repetitive to imprint the pattern of that word or that verb in your brain. Because the only way we learn, I mean, realistically, the only way we learn is to repeat something over and over and over again. And by the time you hit time, you hit that word time number 5, time number 6, at some point that light pops on. So these books are designed to give tons of repetition, but to let you read without looking up every single word, you know, to help you go with the flow, to get the general idea. And we'll talk about how to use these when we get into class. And we won't use them day one. So, you know.
Is that the Spanish Dick, Jane, and Spot?
Spanish Dick?
Dick, Jane, and Spot?
I'm sorry, I'm
You
having a hard
remember
time.
that from first grade? Dick,
Oh,
Jane, and
yeah,
Spot?
they are kind of Dick and Jane books. But the nice
What's
thing
on the
is,
dog?
they've got, and I am going to tell you this, they've got a glossary in the back. So what happens is, as you're reading around, you hit a word. Some of them are going to be cognates. So you're going to hit, oh, normal. That looks like English. Yup. That's intentional. Problemas. Oh, that sounds like the English word. That's what it means. And then you come up to a word cocinero and you're like, uh-oh, don't know this. You quick flip back. You look for the word cocinero. Oh, it means a cook, a chef, and you flip right back. You're looking up very few words very quickly, and you're getting right back into the flow of the story. Because the problem with reading is if you have to break up too many times to look it up and look it up and to look it up in a dictionary that's about this thick, by the time you find it and get back, it's where was I? No, isn't that true?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Where was I? Oh my God. But see, that's the way I had to do it when I was 14. I sat with a dictionary, I kid you not, this thick, and a pencil, and I scribbled in. My old books I had when I was 15, 16-year-old, they got scribbling all over the place because I didn't know anything. And I had to scribble in all kinds of words. Okay. And the philosophy now, which is a way better way to do it, is you give simple, repetitive texts. You ask people to look up very few words and to look it up right away in the back and come right back so that you don't lose your train of thought. Yeah. And you feel like you're actually, what it does is it repeats the vocabulary. So you remember the vocabulary. It also gives you a feel for the word order. So when you come into class and you say, you know, I read those pages, but Marilyn, this phrase, it's weird. The way they group these words, this is weird. And you come in and ask that question. And we address that little question.
Good.
And somebody else who's in the older group who reads the harder stuff says, oh, I forgot. I don't get that either. I'm not good at that either. And we practice that a little bit. So you see how that goes? Bien?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excelente.
Okay, fantastico. Muchas gracias. And
Gracias.
hasta luego.
De nada, de nada. Fue un placer. It was a delight. It was a pleasure. Fue un placer. Muchísimas gracias. If you are leaving to go back to the hinterlands of the north, buen viaje, good voyage. If I see you again, magnifico. And, you know, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Okay? Vale? Bien?
Bye.
Nos vemos. For lots of you will be nos vemos.
vemos.
See you later. Bien.
Okay.
Que tengan buena semana. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Gracias.